Woohoo! Built for the trail.
Born for it.
Welcome to the Driver's Line. I'm Greg.
And I'm Jordan.
And our producers wanted us to figure out what was the best two-row soft-roader out there, and why is it the 2026 Honda Passport Trailsport?
It's not.
It is.
No, it's the GMC Terrain AT4, professional grade.
We'll see. All right, guys, it is time for our head-to-head. This week we have the Honda Passport Trailsport Elite against Jordan in his little GMC Terrain AT4 to see who is king of the small to mid-size soft rotor segment. And a huge thanks to both Honda and GMC for lending us these cute little cosplayers.
And if you like car reviews, news, and shenanigans, like our European road trip, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more automotive action. Now, let's see what these soft-roaders can do. You know, the more I look at the Terrain, the more I think GM took a basic car and just turned it into like a real concept off-roader. I mean, just look at the lines on it.
Yeah, it's like it's conceptually off-road capable.
Oh, come on now. It's got skid plates, for crying out loud.
So does a lunch tray, Jordan. So does a lunch tray. So this is the all-new 2026 Honda Passport Trailsport Elite, and Honda has really finally separated the Passport from its bigger brother, the Honda Pilot. It's boxier, beefier, and actually looks like it belongs off-road now, especially in this Trailsport trim. The exterior is completely revised with a powerful squared-off look, LED lighting, and chunkier bumpers with some actual skid plates and orange recovery hooks, and that orange badging on this Trailsport. The Passport has also grown a bit, so it's 191.5 inches long with 113.6 inch wheelbase. It's 79 inches wide, 73 inches tall, placing it firmly in that mid-size category. That's up over 2 inches in length and wheelbase, and a lot of that extra space is being found right here in this interior. The Trailsport gets 8.3 inches of ground clearance, some chunky 18-inch Berlina black machined alloys with these 31-inch General tires. Compared to Jordan's GMC Terrain AT4, we're taller, wider, boxier. We're more SUV, less crossover. So the GMC looks really cool with the black cladding, the knobby tires, and those red recovery hooks. But it's over 10 inches shorter and it sits about an inch closer to the ground. Out back, the all-new theme continues with LED taillights, hidden dual exhaust for a more off-road ready look versus last year's polished finishers. And now we have that required for the category, model or brand name stamped right in the middle with those big Passport letters right in there to round off that rugged facelift and to prove its off-road chops. So overall, I really love the new look, and our tester's Sonic Gray Pearl really sets it off. I've only found one thing that I think could be just a little bit better. The hood vent has 3 perfect spots for some orange running lights, and I think they really need to put them in there, so come on Honda, let's make it happen.
All right, so we're here in the 2026 GMC Terrain AT4, and I definitely think I have the right car for this comparison. GMC has recently launched several AT4 versions of their production vehicles, and they're all meant to give a slightly off-road spirit to their base car, and this one does not disappoint. When you look at the styling on this thing, I mean, it's big, bold grille right up front, tells you it means business. And for the AT4, it has that tinted chrome look to it, which is really, really cool looking. Not to mention GMC's signature LED C-shaped headlights. And we got LED taillights out back too. So it's got this premium look to it. It also pulls in some rugged touches though. So up front, we have some red tow hooks, and they're actually functional. They're not just for show. So you know it's serious, right? But on top of that, you do have some skid plates. They're metal and they're real, and they're good for if you're actually going off-roading, which you should be doing. Not to mention, you also have 17-inch wheels covered in general grabber tires. It's a really pretty serious tread pattern, gives you lots of traction off-road, and honestly, on-road, you don't hear them much. I mean, there's not much road noise to them. Sure, you might lose a little bit of grip, but I mean, are you really tackling corners in this thing? Not at all, right? And then the icing on the cake is the serious looking stance that the AT4 has. It's wide and it's also lifted. It's got over 8 inches of ground clearance. I mean, that's pretty serious stuff when you think about it. So it's raised, it gives it that macho look, but it's also purposeful. It's not so ridiculous like you see all these brodozers rolling around, right? That's kind of the overall feel of the styling of the AT4. It's got an off-road vibe, but it also has a premium touch to it. It feels a little upscale when you look at it. I think GMC did a really great job styling it. The only thing I wish it was is a little bit bigger. I totally understand it's a compact SUV, but it does feel a little bit tighter in here, and I think some chunkier exterior look to it would look really great.
I can't get over how much cargo space this thing has. Nearly 90 cubic feet with the seats folded. Look, I can even lay down in here. Don't you love that?
I love that.
So stepping inside the Passport Trailsport Elite is a really nice surprise. This thing looks rugged, but inside it's all comfort, space, and thoughtful design, which is really typical for Honda right now. So they give the interior a full redesign this year. You get a clean horizontal layout, soft touch surfaces, and an awesome orange Trailsport stitching throughout. We've got it here on the seats, we've got it on the center console, we've got it on the steering wheel. It looks really great against this black leather. Speaking of those seats, the seats are leather trimmed, heated and ventilated here on the Elite trim, and surprisingly supportive and comfortable. We've got tri-zone automatic climate control, which is going to keep everyone nice and comfy, and the panoramic sunroof and tall windows let tons of light in, making this already spacious cabin feel that much more open. And speaking of space, there's tons of it in the Passport. We've got over 41 inches of legroom up front and a class-leading 40.9 in the rear. This thing feels like a limo back there. There is so much space. For cargo, we've got 44 cubic feet behind the second row, and with those seats folded flat, it nearly doubles to 83.8 cubic feet, which Honda says will fit 2 full-size mountain bikes. It's bigger and boxier than the Train, and you feel it immediately when you get inside this Passport. So on the tech front, you get a 10.2-inch digital gauge cluster and a 12.3-inch touchscreen running Honda's latest interface. Menus are thoughtfully organized, there's zero lag, and displays are crisp and easily configurable. Wireless CarPlay and Android Auto are standard, plus there's a wireless charging pad and 4 USB-C ports, plus a solid Bose sound system, so you get great tunes and you can charge a device pretty much anywhere in the cabin of this Passport. So the Trailsport Elite trim also includes a surround view camera, blind spot view, lane keep, and adaptive cruise and collision avoidance for all of its safety suite. So Honda continues to absolutely crush it with interiors, and honestly, I've got zero complaints about this. They knocked it out of the park.
And then we move to the inside of the AT4, and its exterior comes into the interior in the same overall manner. We've got a super high-tech dash here. It's an all-digital gauge cluster up front, not to mention this 15-inch tablet-style screen right here where I can control everything from radio functions to even headlights. Now, I know that's a controversial topic. Some really detest the fact that it's down here on the bottom left, and it does kind of take your eyes off the road. But nowadays, who's changing headlights, right? You just leave it on auto, and if you're going on the trail, you're going pretty slow, so you should be able to handle that. GMC did a really great job with the finishes in the AT4. It's got leatherette feeling top here, along with the sides. There's stitching, there's a mixture of different materials, and it does feel pretty upscale. I love the brushed metal finish on the handles, not to mention within the actual steering wheel and the cabin, it really does have an upscale look to it. I also really appreciate the fact that there's no piano black on the doors here, or really anywhere except the tablet, which is, you know, I get it, right? It's got to blend in. So they really did a great job with that. I will say, though, there are some cheap plastics here and there, and, you know, for an off-roader, it kind of makes sense, but it does feel kind of a split personality. We have leather trimmings, we have heated seats here, But then we have kind of cheap, scratchy material, so it would be nice for them to upgrade that stuff a little bit, considering this isn't like a, you know, super heavy duty off-roader, right? It's kind of a mixed use kind of vehicle. I really love the way that the gauges are displayed to the driver. Everything is immediate and responsive. There's no lag in any of these systems. And I do really love the way it's presented. It does have a really classy, professional grade look. So the only thing I would say against the AT4 is the packaging of it for the interior. It does kind of lose some space back there in the back, so if you're looking at cargo capacity, there's other vehicles in this class that do a better job, unfortunately, but it's still not lacking for space. You can still fit a fair amount of things in here. I do also wish that some of the more popular options, especially befitting this car's price, were standard. Things like cooled front seats and heated rear seats. Those are things, I get it, you know, they're kind of reserved for the Denali, but I just think, you know, for this price, you can kind of take that peak of the lineup and push one towards luxury and one towards off-road and still have those kind of add-on features to this. I also think it would really be great if in the back they actually had a lever that you could fold the seats down all the way from the back instead of kind of climbing around the side. I think that would be really great on a tight trail if you need to fold something and throw something in there. It's a pretty easy thing to add on. And I love that when you start up the Terrain AT4, it gives you this motif of topographic maps from the driver display to the center stack. Not to mention there's little Easter egg versions of it throughout the cabin. I think it's a nice touch, and it kind of ties it in with its big brother, the Hummer EV SUV. I also got to give credit for the fantastic cameras on the AT4 Terrain. I really appreciate the fact that you can access it from the home screen, but I do wish it was kind of, there's a switch here or something for it directly, especially on the trail. But once you go there, it's super easy to operate. There's a couple of different cameras I can use, and I can use it while I'm driving too, which is really great. So I've got a front and rear view, I've got a top down on the front and a top down on the back, and I've got views out for all four corners of the car, so I can see exactly where my wheels are. Again, super helpful on the trail, but also helpful around town when you're parking. So it really plays into this car's dual personality. It's great for a highway cruise, it's great around the city, but it can definitely handle some pretty serious off-road terrain. I do really also appreciate the toggle switches down here at the bottom of my center stack. I can control my heating and air from it. I can control fan speed without looking too closely at the screen. I think it's a nice combination of kind of refined technology, but also giving us some tactile feel to things. I think it's a really nice middle ground.
I gotta say, this V6, smooth, powerful, and it sounds great.
Sure, but some of us like to get our power efficiently, not prehistorically.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize your engine was still loading. You want me to give you a push?
No, I'll just draft off your tailgate and save you some dignity and some gas.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the good stuff. Power. The 2026 Passport packs Honda's 3.5 liter V6, which they have revised to now make 285 horsepower, 262 pound-feet of torque, so it has some decent muscle now for a mid-sized SUV. Still gets decent gas mileage, 18 in the city, 23 on the highway for an average of about 20. That engine is now hooked up to a new 10-speed automatic, which is both smoother and smarter than that old 9-speed auto that it replaces. So we've got great throttle response for that naturally aspirated V6, no turbo lag, just nice clean linear power. Should you need to tow something, the Passport wins big there too. It can tug around 5,000 pounds, where that little Terrain can only manage 1,500, so good luck even towing a jet ski. So let's get to the ride. The Passport feels super composed, soft enough for comfort, but also firm enough to avoid feeling, floaty and all over the place. It feels a lot more refined than the Terrain on pavement, where the Terrain tends to be leaning a little bit more stiffer, a little bit stiffer and, less roll, but that really starts to comprise it, around some rough patches and things of that nature, where this one just absolutely eats them up. So frankly, even if you're doing pavement over trail, I think the Passport clearly wins.
And then we move into performance, which, to be honest with you, I do feel like is the weakest card that the AT4 Terrain plays. Now, there is its merits, right? So it's powered by a 1.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. There's a reason for that. Power is adequate. It's 175 horsepower and a little over 200 pound-feet of torque when you get the all-wheel drive model like this AT4 comes with. The problem is that horsepower is pretty peaky, so that is one thing you got to consider. Torque is decent right off the line, but you do have to rev this thing to get all the horsepower. So passing, it gets the job done, but it's not super happy about it. That being said, having a 4-cylinder does pay off at the pump. While it's definitely not the most efficient SUV in its class, it's still way more efficient than Greg's Passport, powered by that old school V6 naturally aspirated engine. So with this engine, the Terrain AT4 gets 23 miles per gallon city and 28 miles per gallon on the highway. That's not a figure that Greg could even dream about in his SUV. 25 miles per gallon combined. So again, it's not earth-shatteringly good, but it does add up, especially considering the heavy-duty tires that are on this thing and the tuning that it has. I think this transmission does a great job of keeping up with the needs of the car. It's definitely not, you know, something that's sporty, and it doesn't really encourage you to drive quickly because there's not even a sport mode on this thing. It's all the modes are off-road kind of driven, which I do understand. But it would be nice to kind of have that sport option. It would be pretty cool. I would really love to have a more powerful version of this, maybe AT4X. I think it really deserves it. I think GMC would do a great job with it, honestly, considering the Hummer roots that's coming through into the GMC brand, and they have AT4X versions of other vehicles in their lineup. So why not do that with your small SUV? Put a bigger turbo 4-cylinder in there, maybe a V6. Either way, that's going to give you a lot more capability, plus it can tow more. This thing is only rated at 1,500 pounds towing capacity. I mean, a Volkswagen Jetta can tow more than that. So if you are planning on bringing things to the trail behind you, you really got to pack wisely. On-road, the dynamics are really acceptable. I mean, I'm not going to say they're like out of this world. It gets the job done. It's comfortable. It's not going to offend anybody. I think it's pretty competent. One weird element about the drivetrain is the all-wheel drive system is a push button. Now it's standard in front-wheel drive, and then you have to toggle it to turn on the all-wheel drive option. Odd choice, but it does thankfully stay in the mode that you want to be in. It doesn't go back to front-wheel drive if you've been in all-wheel drive, that kind of thing. So I do appreciate that.
All right, guys, so we have come back down to the Uwharrie National Forest. You know, we're about an hour south of Greensboro here, about an hour and a half northeast of Charlotte. And this gives us a lot of really fun trails to take vehicles like these on. It's only $5 a day. So I've got my pass and we're ready to go. So we're already on one of the little fire roads here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this thing into trail mode. All right, so now we're getting into what makes the Trailsport badge is really all about. And for 2026, Honda is really making it mean something now. Ground clearance is about the same at 8.3 inches, but we have these 31-inch general all-terrain tires, which were specifically developed for the Trailsport at a 275 section width. They're also the widest and tallest tires ever fitted to a production Honda. We've got skid plates now protecting the engine and the fuel tank, and recovery points that can hold twice the weight of the Passport, which is just amazing. Honda also gave the Passport a revised suspension set up better for articulation and stability on uneven ground. And we've got the iVTM4 all-wheel drive, which is not nearly as cool as super handling all-wheel drive as far as a name goes, but it can now send 70% of torque to the rear wheels and actively vector that up to 100% either way, left or right, which is really cool as well. So that's some serious grip when the going gets a little bit slippery. When the going gets tougher than a light trail like this, I think I would rather be in this Trailsport because it feels so much more confident. And building that confidence is all the off-road tech that Honda has packed into this thing. So for 2026, they've added snow, sand, and trail drive modes that reduces throttle input and response for, you know, low-speed obstacles and things like that. It also increases rear torque to send a little bit more power to the rear wheels as well. We also have Honda's second generation Trail Watch system, which provides forward, wheel, and overhead visibility to let you know about every single obstacle that you're driving around. So it's a really cool view. The other thing that I absolutely love is the cluster, right? So the cluster switches to a off-road mode. It shows you your elevation gain over how far you've been driving within, the Trail Watch, the trail mode settings. It gives you pitch and roll. The cluster is really simple and efficient. It switches to include a compass for heading, and it gives you an elevation gain and loss. It shows you your pitch and roll meters, as well as a forward obstacle display, which is really neat. So coupled with Trail Watch, it gives you just about everything you need. So yeah, the Passport finally has earned its Trailsport badge, and between the two of us, I think Jordan is gonna have to stick to the fire roads.
All right, we are at the Owari National Forest in their off-road trail section. And we have taken our soft-roaders on a soft road to handle. So you can see this road is littered with potholes and rocks, and we're going to avoid them. But it should be no problem in this Terrain AT4 because it has over 8 inches of ground clearance. Not to mention, I don't need to worry about hitting rocks too much because I have steel skid plates underneath my engine and portions of the rest of the powertrain and fuel tank. So this is definitely prepared for that. In the rare event I get stuck somewhere, unlikely because of the Terrain's all-wheel drive system, we have tow hooks painted red, and they're real steel tow hooks, not some fake ones. So while the Terrain AT4 does lean heavily on its styling, there are definitely some pieces of substance behind the AT4 when it comes to off-roading. The grabber tires are doing a phenomenal job putting grip down. The only thing I do wish in terms of off-road performance has had is a bit more performance. While the Turbo 4 is really good in terms of fuel efficiency, sometimes you need a little bit more power. And kind of keeping the 4-cylinder at bay, the all-wheel drive system in this is a little less sophisticated than those that you'll find, for example, in the Ford Bronco Sport Badlands. That one has a dual clutch rear differential that's going to transfer the power. This one's just a single clutch. And really when it comes to off-roading with this, all it's going to be doing is holding on to the wheels that don't have grip with the brakes and trying to transfer power in that way. So it can transfer that power, but there are some better all-wheel drive systems, I will admit. But for simple off-roading like this Terrain is doing it really well, and I'm super comfortable in it too, not to mention all that. So it's definitely worth a look if you're the person that takes the occasional soft road trail, but when you're daily driving, you want something that's super comfortable and maybe a bit more sporty than the Passport. One thing that I think could be also added to the AT4, maybe into an AT4X model, would be some type of adaptive suspension where I can adjust the height of the vehicle too. So while a little bit over 8 inches, like 8.3 inches ground clearance or so, is pretty decent, although those figures do change depending on who you talk to. It would be nice to have the option of going even higher. And a bit more articulation would also be pretty welcome on some of these ruts that are deeper. You can tell that it's tripoding on them. While this is not supposed to be a Jeep Wrangler competitor, certainly, it could do a bit more. So I would love to see maybe an AT4X model introduced by GMC to incorporate some of the more professional grade off-roading tools. Now, if you're planning on taking your AT4 off-road, know that the AT4's all-wheel drive system is on demand. So it can operate in just front-wheel drive mode, or to switch it to all-wheel drive, you'll need to hit a switch here on the dash. Now that will keep it in all-wheel drive until you switch it. But since it's an all-wheel drive system, I'm not really sure why you wouldn't. I mean, it's nice to have that security. The AT4 also comes with auto hold mode, as well as hill descent control. We also have some fantastic cameras that can be accessed here from the center screen just by hitting home and going to camera. And you're able to see a couple of different angles. You can see overhead front or overhead rear. I can also see a wide angle out front and a wide angle out the back, not to mention the side. So if I'm going through a tight trail, my side cameras will be able to show me what I might be hitting soon.
All right, so we have pulled off here in the Wari National Forest after taking our softroaders out on some of the fire roads in the area. We decided to stay away from the little bit more technical trails because of what these are, right? They're not really meant for that, but they are meant for this, right? Going out to different campgrounds, hitting that fire trail, and exploring a little bit of nature, right? So we're gonna go ahead and talk about some of the things we really liked about each of our cars before we go into some of the things we think they can kind of improve upon.
Yeah, so Greg and I were able to have some seat time in both vehicles, and I have to say both have some really wonderful features to them. I'm going to start off with the GMC. The technology inside this car really puts it a step above lots of vehicles in its class. From the 15-inch tablet to the driver information screen, everything is presented really neatly, really well, and it really does feel like an elevated product like what a GMC should be.
That's right, the GMC does have a lot of really nice technology in it, but so does the Passport. You know, Honda's revised this for 2026 and has included a lot of additional tech in there, things that you kind of expect to see on a more serious off-roader like our Trail system and our Trail Watch 2 2nd generation.
Well, excuse me. Another plus for the Terrain, I have to say, is the efficiency. I mean, when you're comparing yourself to a prehistoric relic like that V6, efficiency is going to be your way if you got a Turbo 4, and I've got almost 10 miles a gallon on them.
And I've almost got almost 100 horsepower on you, so I mean, there you go, right? Actually 110, I believe, out of this 3.5 liter V6,
Ouch.
which 285 horsepower versus 175 from your little 1.5 liter. Oh my God.
Well,
4-cylinder. But, you know, you do actually obviously get a lot better fuel mileage than I do. I mean, we only get about 18 in the city, 23 on the highway for an average about 20, which isn't great, but it's also not terrible, right? Like, I mean, this thing drinks regular fuel, so you can enjoy putting at least the regular low-level, low-price fuel in it.
it's beyond me. But I will say one other thing that I really love about the Terrain is the interior of it. I mean, it is purposeful, but it really feels like an elevated product. When you look at its competitors, it definitely feels like you're walking into something special, almost like a concept car, the way it's laid out. And I really got to give, props to GM for that. I know that's something in the past that they've been kind of hammered on and nailed on, but this really fits. It's
a really nice interior, it is. It feels a little constrained though, to me, right? So, I mean, in this you have so much space.
It is bigger.
Unbelievable amount of space, right? But I mean, this is based off the Pilot, yeah. So the Pilot is a very large, 3-row, full-size SUV, and they basically just lopped off just a little bit on the back and then used some of that interior space for both the front and the second row. We have over 40 inches of space in the second row. Huge. I could lay down in the back of this thing. You saw me. It was great until you locked me in.
Well, this is a fun thing to do. I will give credit. I mean, that is a great size vehicle if you're a family who does have a lot of stuff. If you go camping and you're bringing lots of things with you, that's probably a better size for you, right? But if you're like a single man or a couple or a single lady, right, and you're going camping or you're doing hiking or outdoor stuff, this has plenty of space for you, really. You got 60 cubic feet when you fold both the back row down, and I feel like that's plenty.
This almost has 90.
Okay, well, I'm already giving you credit there, okay?
And, I mean, Honda's also so logical with space. Yeah. That's the thing they do so well. There are cubbies everywhere in this vehicle. There's little bins in the back to put in like jugs of water if you're going to go camping or tailgating or something like that. Little hidden areas to where you can put, goods or things that, what you want to have hidden from parking lots and things of that nature too. So Honda just makes such a wonderful use of space with this vehicle. I absolutely love it.
That's pretty awesome.
It is awesome.
Anything that you don't think is awesome about the
Very little. I really think they did an awesome job with this vehicle. They really knocked it out of the park. Material quality on the interior is great. Exterior, I think they did a great job with the design. They did a nice job separating it from the Pilot, which is something that the previous generation of Passport kind of lacked, right? It looked like just a shortened Pilot, right? It didn't really do a very good job, and they really made this a lot more focused for off-road now. I mean, I think a few small touches would go a long way with it. Give me some orange running lights in here. Oh. I don't care if it's a Raptor knockoff. I mean, we already have the orange.
We got the orange.
And then back here on this C-pillar, D-pillar area, they just need to move that black plastic up just a little bit to make it align with that window line. I think just those two small changes would really go a long way. Now the price, this is the Elite trim, so 52 grand. That's expensive, but you get so much content for that $52,000. And if you go for the base Trailsport trim on the Passport, it's only $48,000, which is only 7 grand more than this.
Yeah, but think about the value there, because you have a GMC product, a premium product, for less than Honda.
With a 1.5 liter turbo.
Okay, well, let's get to that turbo, because clearly that's one thing I feel could be improved about this vehicle. And I think there's room in GMC's lineup for this. There's AT4X's versions of other vehicles in GMC's lineup. So while I do understand the need to offer a 1.5 four-banger, maybe in a base model, something that you're stepping up to, especially for off-road use, should have some type of additional power, even as optional. You know, someone who's not taking it too seriously is probably going to be fine with the 1.5. Honestly, it's not that bad. But, you know, power is king to us, and it would be nice to have even a bigger four-cylinder or a V6.
Yeah, it really is. And you know, both the AT4 trim and the Denali trim, I think, deserve at least the option of a bigger motor, right? Like, give us a 2-liter four-cylinder turbo, or give us something that's like a four-cylinder plus a hybrid like Toyota's doing right now. There's just so many different options right now that I think could elevate this vehicle, because what you get is actually really quite good. You know, I mean, it's obviously a smaller size, so like, I mean, we really shouldn't be, you know, dinging it for size, because it really is a class lower than this. But that is just the weak point of it, right? Like, it just doesn't feel good to drive, because you have this, like, you know, very small, low displacement turbocharged engine, which really feels like it's strained every time you're going anywhere.
Yeah, it does. And it just feels like we're almost there. Like, this product is almost there. And that is a little frustrating, because it's so good already. But, you know, having maybe a more adaptive suspension, raise it a little bit more, just amp it up a little bit. I would love to see an AT4X version of this train.
Yeah, and that's really the point with these two vehicles, right? This one is already all the way there. Yeah, it costs a little bit more, we get that, but it does everything that you need just a little bit better, right? It has off-road chops, but it doesn't punish you on road like a 4Runner. But it's still nice to drive on pavement, but it also can go a lot of different places off pavement. You can go a little further than this and do it in comfort, right? So to me, I think the Passport wins.
I think if you're buying the vehicles out of the box, the Passport is probably the better choice if you could spend that extra couple grand, okay? Because it is a little bit more expensive, but it is bigger, right? So if you're not someone that needs all that capability and size, though, the Terrain AT4 is a really great option for you to check out, because it ticks a lot of boxes for folks who are looking for something that's really comfortable on road, but also somewhat capable off-road.
Yeah. Well, there you have it, folks. On that fantastic revelation, it is time to end.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us on The Driver's Line. Hit that like button and subscribe for more car reviews, specials, and podcasts. A special shout out to our partners, Drive Shop, Prestige Auto, and North American Vehicle Services for fleet management, keeping us fueled up and on the road, enabling us to keep bringing great content to you.
I gotta say, this V6, smooth, powerful, and it sounds great.
Sure, I mean, but some of us like to get our power kind of more efficiently, not prehistorically.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize your engine was still loading. You want me to give you a push?
No, I'll just... I wanted to say bump draft, and I definitely don't want to do that.